you eat and die is better than not to eat and die.
Who said GMOs are safe when the active gene in DT modification, protein 1B, are not being recovered from fetal and maternal blood? Who said it's safe?
What they have and what the world has presented to us as genetically modified food is cooked bomb that will blow when you take it.
Food can be a weapon, and is a weapon. He who controls your food can control your society. He who controls your seed can control the life and will control the earth.
Genetically modified organisms that we are referring to here in Nigeria are transgenic. That means genes are exported from other organisms across species barriers into organisms that they were not supposed to be there.
There is a republished research by Professor Seralini that proves that GMOs cause tumors and cancers.
It is my singular honor and pleasure to welcome you all, our distinguished guests, to this all-important investigative hearing that borders on the well-being of Nigerians, particularly on the issue of food security and health implications of GM crops in Nigeria. This investigative hearing comes as a result of the mandate given to the committees on agricultural production and services, privatization and commercialization, science engineering, public asset and special duties to investigate the privatization concessioning of the 22 out of 33 government silos for grain storage and other critical national assets in Nigeria. This mandate came on the 7th of 2024, and this particular committee that I mentioned was mandated to do the investigative hearing and find out the circumstances surrounding the whole things and report back to the House. And that's where we are here today. It is also to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the introduction of the genetically modified crop, GMC, into the Nigeria by the National Biosafety Management Agency to assess the potential health and environmental risks associated with it. Honorable colleagues, the significance of these two investigations cannot be overemphasized, as they play a crucial role in the national food security and the potential health and environmental concern to the Parliament under the leadership of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, GCON. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of the Parliament in this exercise is to carry out its constitutional mandate of inquiry into the public asset, which demand of unravel any lacuna associated with the conduct, with the privatization, concessioning of these silos were done, and to determine the desirability or otherwise of the introduction of GMO into Nigeria. The Joint Committee assignment is not to witch hunt anybody or to indict anybody, as the finding will be tabled before the House for appropriate parliamentarian process as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. It will therefore employ all representatives of the ministries, departments, agencies, stakeholders, private sector, and individual to contribute to the success of this investigative hearing, as the benefit for all Nigerian people, especially as the hearing has to do with the national food security, which we also part of the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President.
Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, GCON, instructed me to come and hold brief for him in this very important session. he equally gave me a written speech to convey his address. I am privileged to peruse and go through the speech. I want to crave your indulgence for the want of time. I will only give you the highlights and the synopsis of the speech so that not to take your time. I made to understand that this is an investigative hearing emanating from motions deliberated and approved by the House. Referrals were issued to the relevant committees, and that's why we are here. The two referrals, one covering the issue of investigation to do with privatization and concession of 22 out of the 33 silos we are having in the country. The other one is to investigate the issue of NGOs or products or seeds. I'm very certain and convinced with the array of colleagues assembled here, I'm very, very certain that they have the capacity and the capability to thoroughly investigate this matter and do justice to the matter. On the other hand, having related with the minister and the ministry, I'm equally very convinced that as Nigerians, we will do justice to the issues concerned. But I just want to make two key comments. One is on the sensitivity of our national ethics, particularly that has to do with agriculture. In a nation like ours, national ethics, particularly silos, which are cornerstones to our national food security, cannot be taken lightly and cannot be taken for granted. So therefore, on the part of my colleagues, I advise that you do a thorough job, but try to be fair, balanced, and just. On the issue of our invited guests, feel free, this is a people's house. We are representing Nigerians. We are representing the silent majority, and therefore, be a patriotic Nigerian. Give us any piece of information that will help us do justice to the issue. I think by the time when we are able to cross-fertilize ideas, bring out issues to do with the process. I think when we are talking about investigation issue of privatization and concession, you are talking about the involvement of ICRC, you are talking about transparency, you are talking about accountability, you are talking about prudence, you are talking about process. So if you be able to bring to the bear on the floor these issues, whether procedurally laws of the land are respected, I think both of us, we are not only on the same page, we will do justice to Nigerian people and to the people we are representing. It is on this note that on the powers conferred on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, transmitted to me to hold brief for him, I hereby declare this session open, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Gratitude, our appreciation for your presence to this joint committee meeting opening session today. I want to thank you for coming. We understand, appreciate the enormous responsibility placed on us by the House, and we want to assure you that we'll carry out the best of investigation has never been witnessed in this house before, and we'll come out with the best report to make sure that proper things are done. Thank you very much for coming, sir. You're welcome.
In Nigeria, to assess one of the important issues, one is to assess the potential health and environmental risk associated with this particular GMO that was introduced in Nigeria. One level is the guard to consumers. Two, need to investigate other issue that was before us is need to investigate the privatization concessioning of the federal government silos, which you are all aware we have about 33 silos across the federation. Out of this 33, 22 was given out as a concession. And we have an issue before us regarding to this issue of concession. We have different petition that led to the movement of the motion. And the motion was mandated to these particular committees, the three joint committees, to investigate how the concession was done, how the process was done, whether the due process was followed, whether the right people who are supposed to get this silos was given, or whether they were denied. That's why we are here today to do this investigation. And we have written to different agencies, ministries, particularly you are seeing the Honorable Minister of Agric is here. We have a lot of agencies that are related to this particular issue that is before us that we have written. They have done their submission. The submission is before the honorable committees. We are engaging the agencies and the organizations that made their submission before us to give us a higher right on what they have submitted before the committees in brief. Like you are aware, the meeting was scheduled to start by 12 o'clock earlier today, but we started the meeting almost after 1. We were almost 1 hour plus late. So we are giving a time for any presenter to make his presentation. You know what to submit. Go brief on what you have submitted. Don't say you will go deep into this. That one is the work of our committees. Already you are doing your own submission. And after your presentation, we will now give the floor to the honorable members who have a question or anything to answer or any observation. The presenter will be asked to answer in brief. Then later on, we can decide to start to ask you to wait. Personally, we will go up and do our job as time is permitted. Thank you. So,
Mr. Chairman, permit me to probably give the position of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in respect of the GMO. I would like to start by thanking the Honorable Chair and the House of Representatives for giving me this honor to appear before you today. I would like to start by saying the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security acknowledges the food crisis in the country, and that is why His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has declared a state of emergency shortly upon assumption in office. Interestingly, he has not left anyone in doubt about his commitment to accommodating all genuine ideas and innovations that can better agricultural sector in Nigeria. Currently, Nigeria has 16 national agricultural research institutes with specific mandates for various crops, including institutes for stored produce, extension, and agricultural mechanization. These institutes are tasked with researching and developing seeds that consider negative production factors such as drought, flood, pests, and diseases. The goal is for the seeds of these institutes to be safe and environmentally friendly for humans, plants, animal, and soil health. Biotechnology has also become very essential in addressing these challenges by improving the performance of local crops, animals, and fisheries. To ensure the safety of laboratory findings, the government has established agencies within various ministries. These include the National Biotechnology Research Development Agency under the Federal Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology, and the National Biosafety Management Agency under the Federal Ministry of Environment. These agencies are intended to screen laboratory products and ensure their safety. The Nigerian National Agricultural Research System boasts of highly competent researchers dedicated to advancing agricultural development strategies. Today, apart from the agricultural scientists in the various universities, we have over 200 breeders in our agricultural research institutes. These are world-class researchers that have international recognition. In Africa alone, there are over 4 research-based organizations collaborating with our agricultural research institutes to address the problems of farmers through the production of seeds. The subject matter of discussion today has to do with biotechnology that leads to the production of seeds that will meet the yearnings of our farmers. Before seeds development in our laboratories are presented for commercialization, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security insists that they are subjected to rigorous adaptive studies as well as ensuring their safety. These are done in collaboration with the International Agricultural Research Institutes, donor agencies, and local agencies. The ministry is fully aware of the concerns raised by the public on most of the seeds that were developed, and therefore the need to interrogate the process and intensify awareness on these innovations. In reference to happenings around the globe about GMOs, there have been several rejections of the health-impairing crop varieties and food commodities that some landmark judgments in favor of concerned citizens of most nations were the sites raised. A very recent example was the judgment by the South African Supreme Court proclaiming a cancellation of earlier subsisting approval for GMO crops and food commodities in the country. Let me state unequivocally that the government of Nigeria can never, and I repeat, can never do anything that will be injurious to the population. We welcome this investigative effort by the National Assembly, in particular House of Reps, and I'm sure that the experts that are here will give further insight into the history, methodology, results, and evaluations of these innovations, and I'm confident that the position of this honorable people-centric parliament will make a difference in the long run. May the Almighty bless the Federal House of Representatives and bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Just that I would want to address the chat because they will give a lot of insight to the issue of GMOs and what they have done so far. And that will now bring about some of the questions and concerns that will be raised by this committee, and they will be able to answer those questions. So I would like to Well, I have mentioned, so I was proposing that if we can have those agencies, yes.
You want them to be able to go to stay there so that they can...
Oh, they can stay there and...
Okay, you, if you want them to sit, you sit down.
Okay, thank you.
So that any questions?
Western developed nations that introduce GMO in the whole world are the first countries to start banning it and creating a lot of fear and caution on genetically modified products across the world. As I'm talking to you, there are cases in different courts that have been deliberated after charge to court, and even companies were sanctioned and pay ransom as regards to the use of GMO products because of the impact, negative effect and negative impact on some individuals and some organizations. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I quite agree with my brother here based on some of us that are interested in that, the monies that are invested in promoting GMOs across Africa is far better than the money appropriated by the United Nations to kick out poverty in African countries. Then the question is why? Before GMOs, do we eat? Answer is yes. Before GMOs, do we live? Answer is yes. Before GMOs, are we comfortable? The answer is yes. Even though, even though we have food insecurity, I believe Nigerians' food insecurity is not relegated, is not subjected only to succumb Nigeria to admit to the use of GMO, where so many questions were not being answered. Globally, then Nigeria will not be an exception. Nigeria cannot be a dumping ground of anything they carry, they don't dump it because of our population and capacity. So, Mr. Chairman, I thank Honorable Minister for being very, very kind and just. He is not an expert in that line. He is one of the leaders of Africa, not only this country. I know he will not allow anything that will affect us. Just come with us to organization. I agree, Mr. Chairman, that the experts, after when we ask them, they answer us, then the chairman has the government to decide what next we can do about it.
Thank you. Thank you. How will smallholder farmers be protected from dependency on patented GMO seeds if we continue in this line? And the second question is, what independent bodies are tasked with monitoring the impact of GMO use in Nigeria?
Some of the seeds that we see that are out there that we have been using are also modified. So I've asked this question several times. I have engaged Professor Mustafa there. I have engaged Professor Sharubutu and Dr. Khalid on the issue of GMO. And I think this is a very good forum for them to speak, and we all collectively make up our own idea whether it is acceptable or not. And the issue is, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I refer to you colleagues because I was here before, and I believe that once we can draw that line between varieties that will harm human health or the environment, then I think we can move forward in trying to see what is the best, because we are challenged right now. We have a seed problem in the country. We may not see it, but we are actually challenged in terms of seed solutions. We are using grains today and planting. Our land is shrinking. Whether we like it or not, land is being taken over by population. Nigeria grew by 5.4 million last year and is expected to grow by 6.8 or 7 million this year. The rate of growth is incredible, and the land is shrinking through climate change, desertification, flooding, insecurity, and population habitation. Even now, Mr. President has graciously established the Ministry of Livestock, where they are going to demarcate grazing lands, and now it's going to also affect the farmlands. So we have to devise ways of trying to increase yield per hectare. Our population will be 400 million by 2050. 2030, sorry. No, 2050. Excuse me, pardon me, 2050. 2050 is 25 years from today. I remember very well, June 2nd, when we were sworn in this chamber, 1999. That was 25 years ago. It seemed like yesterday. 2050, 25 years from today, will be tomorrow. What do we do? What are we doing so as to feed the over 400 million people that will exist in Nigeria? And God willing, we hope that all of us will be there at that time to witness this. But we have to start doing something. We have to increase our yield. We have to supply food to Nigeria. We have to find ways in trying to capture the growing population. We'll be the third largest country by 2050, by the end of the century, after China and India. Today, one state in India is more than the population of Nigeria. Uttar Pradesh is 240 million people. Nigeria is 230. So, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I'm just saying that let us look at it objectively. I know the public is very concerned. Everybody is concerned about GMOs. The narrative that is being spread around suggests that it's something. There are varieties that they say they will kill the next farm. You won't be able to grow anything because there's issue of pollination. They will say the one that will affect your life. But so also so many conspiracy theories that we have had, from the ones in COVID, from the ones from trying to reduce polio population and what have you. Those people that took polio vaccine 30 years ago are grandparents today. Where is the narrative that's been driven that polio was supposed to regulate population? They are grandparents today. They are part of the population growth that we have today, Mr. Chairman. So I would suggest, briefly now, I will call on these experts. Let them give the narrative. Some I agree, some I don't agree. The same way. And I think collectively we should be able to look at it holistically and decide as a nation what is best for our people. Thank you very much.
What I'm assuring you, important is anything that we are doing, or anything that we will agree on, we should look in for the best interest of our country. And actually, for that, at the end of this, investigating that, something that is going to be for the best interest to continue to come out of it. And before the end of our report, we will go with the protection board of the supporters and who are not supporting. To come up with something that is going to be good for the nation and something that at least at the end of the day, we do it. Even if the people are not happy now, then the individual, they will know that they have got something that is right. Thank you, Mr. Honorable Minister. So,
cannot make any presentation now until the Honorable Minister give approval. Thank you very much.
So,
hello?
Order.
What I'm saying, Honorable Minister of Health is not here.
Order, please, order. Our guest, please, you have to be.
We make this presentation to the committee when the National Council when we finish the National Council of Health. The Honorable Minister of Health is not here now. Thank you.
Okay, which means you rely on the submission you have made to the committee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Present. I'm Agnes Yemisi Asagra, PhD, T Management Agency. Before I make my presentations, Chairman.
Confirm what you have submitted to us.
Yes, sir. The federal government brought about biotechnology because of food security and to be in the League of Nations. And biotechnology is actually using microorganisms to produce products that are beneficial to National Biosafety Management Agency. Because biosafety in plain terms is just keeping the people and the environment safe. By the Act of Parliament in 2015, the National Biosafety Management Agency was established, and this was there was an amendment in 2019 because biotechnology is not stagnant. There are all manner of emerging biotechnology, and therefore it has to be amended. And also, when we're talking about GM foods, it undergoes rigorous safety evaluations globally. And these assessments include 3,500 independent regulatory agencies worldwide giving biosafety approvals. Also, National Biosafety Management Agency is equipped with the task of making sure that all agencies, all research institutes, all universities that practice modern biotechnology are regulated by the agency. And also, when we talk about biosafety and National Biosafety Management Agency, it is not an individual work. We have stakeholders, we have, I'll just mention a few of them. We have the National Agricultural Quarantine, we have NAFDAC, we have the Nigerian Customs Service. I'm sure you will wonder why Customs Service. They also help us in tracking GMs that come into the country. And also, when you talk about safety of our GMOs, it is of essence that yes, we do this by science. Data that has been accrued from the analysis of biodiversity are things that we make use of. And also, what is the process? We have an extensive process, and I would crave the indulgence of the chairman to just go through this so that people can know. When somebody wants to get a permit from the agency, we have our forms on the website. You take the form, you fill it, then you send to us. We look at it. If it is okay, we return. If it is not okay, we tell you where you have made mistakes. And after that, you pay a fee through remitter. And then after that, you now bring your risk assessment dossier to the agency. And when this is done, we have a 21-day frame where this is given to the whole country.
You have to be brief.
Yes.
Don't forget your submission.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for just this process that I needed to say it. After that, there are two committees set up, the National Biosafety Committee and the National Biosafety Technical Subcommittee. And in this, we have agencies, we have the NOA, we have the Consumer Protection, we have NAFDAC. NAFDAC is part of the Technical Subcommittee, which takes charge of the food safety aspect, where you see that, okay, it is not having allergenicity or it is not toxic. All these take place with them. And also, after that is done, the NBC come together, and if the dossier, if the risk assessment is acceptable, then the permit may be given. And I'd like to tell this honorable house that only 3 crops have been given commercial release in this country. The first one is BT cotton, and that was in 2018. The second one, PBR cowpea, was in 2019, and Taylor maize was given in 2021. And all these go through the varietal. That is why you find out that, okay, this crop was released in 2021, but then for commercial purposes, for farmers, it was not until February 2024, after we had done the commercial release. And also of importance is that our process takes place through an international protocol called Cartagena Protocol, where about over 189 countries of this world are parties. And also we make use of Codex, we all know Codex Alimentarius, FAO, WHO, and all that. And also, we know one thing, that if you say it was safe yesterday, it doesn't make it safe today, and it does not make it safe tomorrow. And therefore, in National Biosafety Management Agency, we organize and we work with integrity, with transparency, and we have competent, trained and retrained scientists who are able to do their work adequately well. And one thing that is another heartwarming thing is that our scientists, our researchers are carrying out research, so we don't have to depend on external people. Thank you very much, sir.
I'd like to indulge, to crave your indulgence for allowing me to stand on the existing protocol. The National Biotechnology Research and Development Agency hereby presents her compliment to the House Committee on Agricultural Productivity and Services. We also have the honor to acknowledge the receipt of this invitation that was sent to us on the 7th November 2024. In response to the request of a memoranda on the motion to investigate the introduction of genetically modified organisms in Nigeria, National Biotechnology Research and Development Agency would like to make the following submission. Firstly, NAFDA, though created in 2001 by the approval of National Biotechnology Policy by the Federal Government, Federal Executive Council, under the aegis of Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, become legally established by the Act of the National Assembly 2022 to carry out research and development and create and develop public awareness in biotechnology in order to encourage a private sector participation in biotechnology industry in Nigeria and for related matters. While we acknowledge the concerns surrounding the safety and regulatory oversight of GMOs, it is important to note that scientific evidence strongly supports the safety and benefits of genetically modified organisms in the country. Contrary to the claims, GMO have undergone comprehensive testing and have been proven to be safe for human consumption in the developed countries for over 3 decades now. Furthermore, they have the potential to increase crop yields, enhance nutritional content, and reduce the reliance of harmful pesticide use in agriculture. Leading scientific organizations such as National Academy of Science, World Health Organization, Food and Agricultural Organization, the European Food Safety Agency, peer-reviewed scientific journals, regulatory agencies responsible for GMO oversight, and the American Medical Association have all confirmed the safety of GMOs. Additionally, in Nigeria, GMOs are certified by National Biosafety Management Agency. The sister just finished speaking about the safety procedure. Competent authority on GMOs. The introduction of GMOs in Nigeria has the capacity to bolster food security, improve agricultural productivity, reduce malnutrition and hidden hunger, create jobs, generate wealth, mitigate greenhouse gas and climate change negative effects, and contribute to sustainable environment, industrial and economic growth. Therefore, I urge you to carefully consider the scientific evidence and expert opinion before reaching a decision that could hinder the progress of agricultural innovation in the country. The scientific research on genetically modified organism crops conducted by Nigerian scientists has garnered attention from the global bioscience community. As a result, scientists from various countries have been visiting Nigeria to study and learn from the work being done by Nigerian researchers. These represent the positive development and demonstrate the valuable contributions of Nigerian scientists to the field of bioscience. I'm concluding, sir.
What the submission that already you have made to...
Yes, we respectively...
Go to the conclusion you
yes, that is what I'm reading now.
The important is not to just...
We respectively request for reconsideration of the motion to suspend the introduction of new genetically modified crops. Instead, we suggest implementing a science-based approach to oversee their use. With proper regulation and oversight, GMO can greatly contribute to Nigerian agricultural advancement. The agency has submitted all relevant documents and other pertinent material that will guide the committee in making informed decisions on these matters. Thank you very much.
You need to put up facts from science to be able to adjudge either those concerns are okay or not. If there is any new innovation in the world, definitely there will be world concerns. When planes came on board, I'm not sure it was not everybody who was willing to fly. So also we think, today we are talking of GMO. In another time, sometimes if there is a challenge in the society, you always come out with, work out how do we solve these kind of challenges. Today, GMO, maybe in another 5 years or 10 years, we'll be talking of another technology. And therefore, there must be fears and concerns. So those concerns, our paper, our submission had highlighted it. But then we, as scientists, we think that we must get some facts to actually justify whether these things are correct or not. And you don't sit down alone. You also compare the peer review things we've talked about. What somebody is doing, you have to look. And I'm happy that Nigerian scientists are participating actively. The 16 research institutes we have here are working seriously on to know. If they are doing and you are not learning and also participating, you might end up importing from them and you don't even know what they are giving you. So I think we give, okay. So the concerns are noted, and I think the comparing with the scientific evidence, we do not see enough reasons to stop work on such instances. If you recall before, when our population was very small, our grandfathers do selection. They are the breeders then. They select the best ones. But you cannot rely on that now, going by our population and the challenges we have. So therefore, we should expect science to be bringing up innovations. And GMO is not an exception. The worries about the safety, let us look at the scientific angles and justify whether. So why we plead with the House to support my minister to equip even these research institutes better, so that this one will be for what everybody will see. Yes, they should budget enough for Agric, so that so that you can be able to see. We will be able to be very open. It's not that science are in the cocoon that nobody knows what they are doing.
Your time is off. Your time is off.
Okay.
So,
I thought 1 minute.
The next presenter is...
We have approved and released in this country are Nigerian-made, Nigerian investigated in our own laboratory. The laboratory in the Institute for Agricultural Research actually undertook the investigation and the cross-breeding of one genetic material into the other in order to protect us from Maruca. The second one is the telomerase. It was again done here. There is no laboratory in its own single fashion that can incubate research and conclude on its own. We look for genetic material from one laboratory to the other, either within the country or outside the country. Secondly, sir, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has an inbuilt safety measure within it. And what are the safety measures? By the time you are bringing in any foreign material from outside, if you go to the airport, you will see our soldiers or our parasecurity men dressed in green. These are the National Agricultural Quarantine Service people. And they do not go beyond what the Honorable Minister has prescribed. By implication, there are lists of items that are approved from the decision of the National Council on Agriculture and then being implemented by the Honorable Minister to say, we will not want this crop come into this country, whether by its species, variety, or anything. They have the laboratory capacity to checkmate those things that are coming that are not approved. Secondly, there is the National Seed Council. The DG has just spoken. Their responsibility is to make sure that whatever seed is not approved in this country does not get to the farmers. Of course, we recognize the fact that there could be smuggling, and that is why the minister is saying there must be some regulatory component of it. Now, the Seed Council is made in such a way that their policy will respect the policy of the ministry. And what is the policy of the ministry? The smallholder farmers. The smallholder farmers are being taken along. Now, the implication of having the Seed Council I told us is in response to Honorable Shagaya to say, are there safety measures that are being put in place, independent bodies? Yes, we do not work without the collaboration of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. And I'm definitely sure that the chairman of the All, president of the All Farmers of Nigeria is here. He will testify to the viability, capacity, competence, and of course, to some extent, the productivity of what we have generated from our laboratory. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Transformation, that should be the question here. Let's take the case of the PBR copy. Over 1,000 accessions of copy were scrutinized for resistance to Moruca. No single accession turned out to be resistant. We had no choice. The only viable option was to use biotechnology to enhance resistance to Moruca. Moruca can lead to 100% yield loss in the field. And we all know today, without pesticides, you cannot cultivate cowpea. And we all know the health hazards associated with using herbicides and insecticides in the field. That has been attested. You can ask farmers. That even affects that even impacts on their lifespan. Because at the end of the day, you see them having health issues, cancer, lung issues. These have been medically documented. As scientists, we don't speak on hearsay, we speak on facts. In our submission, we have given statistics, we have even provided references. And I ask everyone present here should check, we should all Google and see the information available. I'm a lady, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter.
Thank you, yes.
I will not work on something that will harm my family.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, yes. Thank you.
I'm not done. Sir, please. My 5 minutes is not up. Please, sir.
No, your 5 minutes is over.
Please, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir.
All you want to say, you have already made submission.
No.
I said all you wanted to say now, you have already made a submission to the committee.
I just want to mention one thing that for the last time, please, sir.
Okay, mention it.
Biotechnology is not new. Biotechnology is as old as man. We have been eating biotechnology products. We all eat bread. We all eat bread. We take yogurt. Then we don't show concern. And some of us here are diabetic. I'm also one. I take insulin. Have we ever asked how insulin is produced? The same science that is used to produce insulin was the same science I used to produce telomerase, PBR copy, and then BT counting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
DG Raw Material Research and Development Council. As you know, Raw Material Research and Development Council is at the vanguard of promoting the optimal utilization of Nigerian raw materials, including the agricultural raw materials. What I want to state here, my chairman, sir, is that we should distinguish between unsubstantiated fears from scientific-based results and findings. Emotionality is not science. Science is real and is predicated upon facts and evidences. Sometimes when we have fears that has no scientific proof, we begin to contest certain things. So
what's your point of order? What's your point of order?
Mr. Chairman, you just told us you were representing the DG. You did not introduce yourself and tell us the title you hold.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Do you have a letter from the DG to represent you?
Yes.
Do you? You can submit it before this committee. And please introduce yourself and tell us the title.
Okay. You know, because of the time that we area on Agric, that we should avoid most of the protocol introduction and other things.
In conclusion, what I'm saying is that I have had the privilege of representing the council at various committee levels by the Nigerian Biosafety Management Agency before any approval is given by the agency for any introduction or use or cultivation or field trial of GMO. Committees are set up where scientists from all over Nigeria are called to scrutinize that application to make sure that the introduction or acceptance of that GMO is in line with basic and standard scientific protocols and standards. So that is what the Raw Material Research and Development Council comes. We have opportunity of being part of that national body that scrutinizes the applications for introduction of GMOs in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
This year is the NGOs. NGOs and individuals who are willing to make their submission. Can we still allow them to make their own submission before we allow for a general question for both of them?
Very clear. Nigeria is not yet ripe for genetically modified organisms. And the reasons are very clear. I'm a scientist. I'm a researcher. I'm heading a Center for Food Safety and Agricultural Research in a university here in Nigeria, and I've studied across the globe. Genetically modified organisms that we are referring to here in Nigeria are transgenic. That means genes are exported from other organisms across species barriers into organisms that they were not supposed to be there or naturally. For example, genes that confer the ability of a snake to have venom can be extracted and inserted in a crop or in any other organism that will confer that ability in that organism. So genetically modified organisms in this context, as we are discussing today, are being banned by other countries that are even more advanced in research than us. For example, according to World University Ranking, the 7 best universities in Africa, 6 of them are in South Africa. The 7th one is in Cairo in Egypt. And just a few days ago, South Africa Supreme Court of Appeal reversed their approval on GMO maize. And the research facilities in South Africa and in Cairo are better than the research facilities we have in Nigeria, in our universities. Now, the question is this. On the plane of health, GMOs have recorded scientific proof to be adversely affecting the health of consumers. In the United States of America, where GMOs are being used, their health is not correct. And you can listen to the news. You can listen to the news. They are complaining. The International Agency on Cancer Research, a World Health Organization agency, a United Nations agency, has labeled some of the GMOs as probably carcinogenic. That means they cause cancer. On the issue of economics.
Thank you, bro. Already, you are given 5 minutes.
Yes.
5 minutes is over.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I have delivered it.
All protocol observed. Firstly,
my brother, 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Firstly, I attended the 7th annual conference of the NBMA 2 weeks ago, and they stated in the conference that their laboratories were going to be ISO certified. And I stand to say here that we don't have more than 3 ISO certified laboratories here in Nigeria, and I'm wondering which of the laboratories were certified enough to carry out GMO experiments in Nigeria. Number 2, risk assessments. We have asked many of them several times for risk assessments, and they never provided it to us. And that's because the risk assessment that was used in Nigeria from information from NBMA is from the EFSA risk assessment, which is just for 2 years. And 2 years is not enough to evaluate the impact of GMOs on our health, on our environment, and also generally. Because there's sufficient proof that there's a 16-year research in Canada that shows that the use of pesticide increased by 244% when they kept using GMO crops. And I'm happy that she stated that pesticides cause cancer, because they really do cause cancer. There's sufficient research. There is a republished research by Professor Seralini that proves that GMOs cause tumors and cancers. And you see, I also stated from the conference I attended, all the promoters, NBMA is supposed to be a biosafety organization, but all the speakers that spoke at their event were all promoters of GMO. So much so that OFAB was sharing conference materials at such an event. That is similar to the referee scoring goals. The referee is now the one officially taking free kick in the match, because NBMA is supposed to be a neutral organization. There were only 2 of us.
We are not here for. We are here to work for the best interest of our country, and we should be serious on what we are doing. So, the next presenter is Professor Cyril Potoke.
I have listened very carefully to all the presenters, and I want to congratulate the gentleman that moved that motion. I'm a professor of genetics, and I want to believe that if you assess the whole of this hall, we are very few, even across the world and in this nation, we are not up to 20 professors of genetics. So I'm going to talk as a geneticist. Number 1, classifying an organism as a genetically modified is fraud, because what they did was not genetic modification. If you want to do genetic modification, there is a sample. I've seen a sample with somebody there carrying a bag. Telomerase, they have written there hybrid. Hybrid has father, has mother. So you bring the father and the mother to give birth to the child. But genetically modified organisms, we are told, is produced by certain persons who have that belief that they want to achieve a certain purpose. And they brought bacteria, and include bacteria inside fruit. Number 1, if you see all the pictures on your Google, you see fruits of apple, you see all the genetically modified food, you see fruit. Fruit is not an organism. We are scientists. Fruit is a part of the organism that is the plant. So if you want to modify, you modify from the plant. You marry them together. You carry reproductive characteristics or parameters and merge them to arrive at a desired substance that you call a hybrid. What they have and what the world has presented to us as genetically modified food is cooked bomb that will blow when you take it, because there is an entity that is incubated inside that when you take it, and let me tell you, Mr. Chairman, sir, that every factor that will arrive at genetically modified food is not bacteria. That is a scam. It comes from heavy metal. And let them eat it. For those of them who are talking about it, let them eat it and see what it will do to them. And the result will be open. Genetically modified foods are baked population control factors. I know they will say, what do they classify us as? They give us names. Conspiracy theorists. I was one of the #1 conspiracy theorists in COVID-19. And I mentioned it that when COVID rests, another one will come. The next one is GMO. GMO has come. Do you know why it's going to succeed? Because it's food. And it's going to affect everybody. I am a professor of genetics trained in Nigeria and in Israel. I trained in Israel University, and I'm an Edo man. We don't run from truth. Genetically modified food are cooked bomb that will explode. Thank you very much, sir.
Mbasi, is this on? Thank you so much. My name is Barrister Mariam Mbasi. I stand on all existing protocols. Food can be a weapon and is a weapon. He who controls your food can control your society. He who controls your seed can control the life and will control the earth. I've heard our NAMA boss says that she was careful to mention the partners that helped them do the work, but she did not mention OFAB, she did not mention NABDA. Honorable members, I've read the act. NABDA, National Biotech Agency, that they are supposed to regulate, is a member of the board, a board member in NAMA, and they also make applications. How can a board member that you are supposed to regulate be in your board? And in my opinion, and what we've seen, the regulated is more influential on the regulator. It's more influential. If you look at the act, I've studied that act, they make themselves board members, they are there. And I ask myself, if you are hiding what you are doing, you shouldn't be hiding it. My grandmother says, if you are hiding what you are doing, you should not be hiding it. Look at this is Roundup, I bought it in the market. If I drop this thing, just a drop in the food, everybody, in fact, some drops, everybody is dead. This is a cocktail of what Monsanto had given as a gift to Nigeria when NAMA approved the maize that they gave us. In 2016, when the application was made in Nigeria, our organization, we told them that this is the same as BT cotton that was made in Burkina Faso and Mali that was brought to Nigeria. I belong to an organization, we are in 76 countries. They removed just Burkina Faso and just put in Nigeria. The government of Burkina is not up to Lagos State. Lagos is bigger than Burkina Faso. They rejected, they said Monsanto lied to them. Lied that this, what they promised heaven, they saw hell. It did not, so they banned it. In Russia, if you bring in GMOs, you are considered a terrorist. This is Roundup that Monsanto sells with its cocktail of food. If you put this thing, if I drop it, everybody is dead. I bought it in the market. I'm not joking. I bought it in the market. Randomly, I bought it in the market. I bought it as testimony. I bought this thing in the market. Then secondly, Mexico is the city of corn. I'm sure honorable members, some of you have been to Mexico. If you go to Mexico, please, I have the floor. If you go to Mexico, you will see blue, yellow, green, black corn, diversity of corn. They call them the city of corn. Recently, the countries, I'm quoting names because I'm a lawyer and I find that everything I say is true. You can find out. Canada, US want to bring in their GMO, and their president said on 1st October 2024 that they will never accept GMO corn. That the way they eat in US is not the same way we eat in Mexico. Don't bring in your corn to our country, and you've been fighting it. Is it possible that you... So one moment, I will soon round up, please, sir. No, please, honorable. No, I'm not. Okay. The BT cotton, the promise was going to give you. The farmers have started complaining. Catalonia Protocol, as she said, was negotiated because it was said that this thing is not a question of if, it is when. There are bound to be impacts on human health, the environment, and the biodiversity. That is why people came together. Our founding fathers that negotiated the protocol, Dr. Tewade, Nimobasi, Tunbakawa, they put in things they said will protect us. But our NAMA, sorry, they are just acting as content creator and PR agents for NAMA. Yes, but let me say one more thing. I'm just saying one more thing, sir. No, I'm not dropping. No. One more thing. I just want to say that NAMA as conceived and construed are not giving us good stewardship. They are just PRO agents for OFAP and NAMA, and in fact, they can just move them to NAMA. They are not helping us, because you cannot have an agency who is supposed to be a regulator acting as if it was a PRO agent and parrot for the biotech company. Thank you. So, what is?
I want to claim your indulgence to stand on existing protocol. My name is Tapfe Mirabeau. I'm a professor of medical microbiology and immunology, presently working with the Niger Delta University, Bayelsa State. I want to start by making a categorical statement that GMO are not safe for this country. And it's because of the identified challenges that we've seen with GMO that the Cartagena Protocol and the Nagoya Protocol were enacted, which Nigeria has assented to in 2003 and 2012 respectively. I listened to the previous speakers who are trying to convince us that we should import GMO in this country, but none of them has given us a tangible reason why GMO should be brought into this country. I listened to the honorable members who spoke ab initio, and they asked very valid questions. Were we eating before GMO? The answer is yes. So what has changed? And another colleague asked, what is the right of the small-scale farmers? And I want to state here that the small farmers are not protected. They will be extincted, because with GMO, the technology in it does not allow reproducibility of this seed, or it will reduce yield. So they'll be forced to go back to buy the seed from the donors, which is not healthy for our farmers. I stand to be corrected. I've interacted. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, the professor here has the floor, and he has the term protection.
Thank you, Chairman. Please, I think your mic. Yes.
The committee here. So please, I advise everybody should have respect and listen. Time will be given to everybody if you have anything that you want to talk to.
For protecting me. The other issue I want to address here is the regulatory rules that NAMA play. From our observation, NAMA is just a sandbox to to promoters, because most of the conferences, as my colleague earlier stated, most of the conferences organized by NAMA are...
No, you have only 2 minutes.
I'm coming, sir. I'm coming.
Only 2 minutes.
Okay.
So just
that's it.
To the point of what you want to tell the committee.
Okay, what I want to state here is that with my medical background, there is no doubt that the emergence and re-emergence of infectious disease and communicable disease is actually on the rise in Nigeria. And there is a direct link between the emergence and re-emergence of this disease with what we eat. So I think at this moment that we are considering a product that's been identified unsafe in other areas, we should treat with care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. All protocol duly observed. My name is Professor Peter Ayodeji Kunwe from the University of Port Harcourt, a proud Edoman. Now, I want to say that we've talked about the benefits of GMO, but at what cost? Those are the things we need to consider. And I think it's very important for us to know the cost in terms of the health cost. They might tell us that there is no health problem with GMO, but that's not true, because in the long run, from all statistics and from all results we've seen so far, there is health care. A brother mentioned about a publication by Serena in 2012 that shows that GMO has the potential of causing tumor in rats. Now, of course, they discharge this publication. So I want...
Come again. You said GMO has what?
The potential to cause tumor. Okay. GMO has the potential to cause tumor in rats. It was a research conducted in 2024 in France. Now, a lot of people disregard that research by these scholars because they felt that the methodology wasn't right. But other researches are going on. So there's a long-run effect of GMO, and those are our concern. These are the costs, especially with the farmers as well, not being able to regeminate their plants again, and constantly depending on these corporations to supply seeds for them. So these are the issues we are looking at. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I hate falsehood. I hate falsehood. We were told in these hallowed chambers that only 3 crops has been approved. That is not correct. In 2016, GM maize variety event NK603 was approved. In 2017, BT cotton was approved. In 2019, transgenic cassava, I wrote an objection for that, was approved. In 2021, Taylor maize came first to Nigeria. What we're discussing now is a resurfacing of Taylor maize. Now, you talk about BT beans. I want to dwell on BT beans. I want to tell Nigerians, if you want to plant BT beans, which has been painted very good here, please take a soil sample where you want to plant. Determine the microbiota and the right soaps on that soil. Plant your BT corn. Return after your BT maize had matured. Take the same sample. You will see the wide differential in soil microbiota. You will see depletion of rhizomes. Who said GMOs are safe? When the active gene in BT modification, protein 1B, are now being recovered from fetal and maternal blood, who said it's safe? The point need to be made and succinctly clear that anybody who is telling you that GMOs are risk-free, there is no risk-free situation. The point is this. Please, I challenge this house. Can you pay a visit to NIPMA lab? You will find wrong. Please, let us rise from here. We do not have the capacities. We do not have the competencies to do GM in Nigeria. They told you all of them were made in this country. Hey, sorry, it's not true. Professor Shaku, who pioneered the work on BT maize, on BT, told us in Shelter Hotel and Towers that they were all completely knocked down gene brought to him from Switzerland and he coupled here. Assemblage of a car do not mean you manufacture a car. The point need to be made that we are losing our biodiversity to GM incursion. It's been dumped on Nigeria unbridled. Why would anybody say it's 3 crop? You've forgotten the approval for the wheat GM that was released on us. Why are we experimenting with Nigerians' life? This is pathetic. It must be halted. Life is involved.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Protocols duly observed. I think I want to talk briefly on the economics of production when you consider GMO. We've talked of the impact on smallholder farmers. You consider what happened in India sometime between 2011 and 2013, when smallholder farmers were committing suicide because of the impact of GMO. What happened? They were buying seeds, and the implication was that these seeds, immediately after planting, they cannot reuse again. And they were spending. That gave them a big, high level of indebtedness. And farmers started committing suicide. It was tagged the seed of suicide rather than seed of life. To me, there is no point talking about GMO modified foods. Thank you.
Chairman. So our views represent the views of millions of Nigerians, and so far all the people who have spoken are mostly elders, so permit me to represent the young people in our country. And I want to re-emphasize on the impact on biodiversity. Biodiversity is life, is the foundation of our food, is the foundation of our life. And GMOs have serious implications on biodiversity. Over 80% of GMOs so far are said to be designed as herbicide-tolerant GMOs. That's the link to the poison you saw by Samarian Holt. Many of them, those 80%, are designed to withstand the application of that pesticide. That pesticide does not only destroy the target weeds, it also destroys very beneficial microorganisms in the soil. The populations of bees in the US and other places have been seen to reduce over time since the application of these herbicides on the farm. And we need to also note that these herbicides are produced by the same companies, the very companies manufacturing these GMCs. Now, also to let us know that it is way more than 3 crops that are approved. Even if we're talking about commercial release, there are actually 4 varieties, 2 varieties of cowpea, 1 of cotton and 1 of maize. And the fact that there is no risk, there's no report of risk assessment on the website of the NBMA. There's no proof that the NBMA has done any independent long-term risk assessment. She mentioned how applicants should submit risk assessment that they have done. We shouldn't depend on the risk assessment that the person who wants to introduce these crops has carried out. There are also products that are brought in for use for food, feed, and processing. So it's not just about the ones we are planting. There are three crops, soy, wheat, and I think maize, that are brought in for food, feed, and processing. Those also enter our food chain. This document contains over 50 different products, processed foods that are imported into the Nigerian market, in our supermarkets. Everyday food, cereals, vegetable oils, noodles, cake mixes, syrups, different kinds of things that are actually labeled to contain genetically modified ingredients. How many of us in this room know that there are crops like that, foods like that in our supermarkets? So the rights of our people.
I have only 1 minute now to round up. 1 minute to round up.
It's not coming on. Right, so we want to really emphasize the fact that there are alternatives. Because we're saying, oh, we want, Nigeria's population is increasing, there's climate change implication, there is food insecurity. To solve this, the farmers, the people have the solutions. Solutions are with the people. There's organic agriculture that is helping to actually address why we have these problems in the first place. That is what our government should focus on, how to revitalize our soils and ensure that our people are in control of how food is produced. That is what we call food sovereignty. With GMOs, we are giving off our food sovereignty.
I have a feeling that some of us are thinking we are in a novelty match between the pro and against GMOs. We are on a serious matter here. In fact, I lost my father some few days ago. That is why I'm appearing like this. And as the only son, I have a lot on my head. But I came here because this issue is important and dear to me. And I would like to, before I proceed, there is somebody that spoke about how they made the GMOs here. And I would like to ask the person 2 questions. Who is the holder? Are those seeds patented? That is the first question. And if yes, who is the holder of those patents? Because I want to talk about how there is a hidden cost, economic cost to these GMOs. Because somebody spoke about the person who controls your food, controls your life. And if, as a matter of fact, we remove the issue of the health issue, the economic issue is too big to ignore. And I want us to understand clearly that monopolies are always a danger to an economy. And GMOs now, there are very few companies or institutions that have the capacity to make GMOs. And then now, if we are going to go the way of GMOs, how are we going to avoid the issue of monopolies? Because as we speak, the people who are invested in this technology want to reap, some form of payback from it. So it's not free. It's not for the Christmas.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm asking, as a matter of fact, I want to ask this Honorable House to make a law to ban GMOs for the next 25 years until we have the capacity to do anything about it.
Thank you. Thank
you. Of the negotiation with Cartagena Protocol, the basis of which all of this discussion is going on. This was more than 30 years ago. Secondly, I was the executive secretary of the OAU for many, many years, and therefore I know the origin of all of this that was being discussed. Third, I was prevailed upon because of those past experiences when I retired that I should please come and be the pioneer chairman of the National Biosafety Committee, which gave birth to the agency that we're talking about now. I want to tell you that what I had, or what we had, in the original document that was presented to the Ministry of Environment is not all included in what they are implementing today from the Biosafety Agency. It has been mutilated, it has been negotiated, and it has been compromised. Why? That what we did was too complex, and therefore it cannot be implemented in the interest of the international community against Nigeria. At the time that I was chairing that committee, my interest was Nigeria and not the international community. So I have not given, please. So just listen, sir.
Thank you for this wonderful submission.
Can you just give me one more minute?
Bro, you know,
let me tell you. This is
just on the first technical section. The time is not already. You have made
here.
Okay, I'm giving you additional 2 minutes, bro.
No.
Okay, good.
Biotechnology that leads to genetic engineering. And I have invested in agriculture and in science. And I know that we are in this war with this fund because of science. If there was no science, we would not be sitting here and be seeing each other. This place is too big to be roofed by conventional means. Nigeria's population, somebody said, will be 400 million in 24 years. We will need to feed everybody. Today, at 230 million, we are grappling to feed ourselves. There is an innovation that would make it a lot easier for people. Some people from the background of science and professorship have said one thing, but I am asking, what is their stake? Are they pro-people or are they against people? If you eat and die, it's better than not to eat and die. So I Mr. Chairman, I am happy that everybody reacted to what I said. The point I'm trying to make here is, you at the high table, those of us here on the lower ground, and the population outside this wall must eat food. And Nigeria must be able to feed itself for there to be governance and livability. It is good that some people ask questions and they want clarification. But I was privileged to listen to so many people, to read a lot of things, and to make some investments. I have not seen anywhere where they established a nexus between GMO and any disease. You must be able.
Thank you, my brother. Your time is over.
Thank you.
Institute of Food Science and Technology. I can understand why this is of interest to us. I just want to quickly say that science does not run away from challenges. Man would not be flying in the air today if we were bogged down by the challenges of putting an aeroplane in the air. So, on that premise, I want to say that yes, there are challenges with GMOs, but science will not run away from these challenges. Problems are meant to be solved. What we need to do is to have stronger collaboration on research. Two, to make haste slowly. Let us not quickly adopt what was being sent to us. Let us also be convinced that the problems associated with these GMOs are solved in the Nigerian environment. There are many research institutes working on these things, and we should allow them to do their research. There should not be any hurry in adopting any GMO or for any crop. Two, we should also send the regulatory framework. Whatever comes in there are many agencies doing things independently. Let them come together. There should be a union so they can communicate with each other and then be able to employ the force necessary to be able to do things that will benefit Nigeria, but should not be put off by the problems that we are hearing. And then we should be transparent in what we do so that the farmers and the general public can be carried along in what the researchers are doing. And then, of course, we have to safeguard the interest of the farmers. All right? We must give them seeds. There must be sustainability in agricultural production in Nigeria.
Thank you.
We should set targets that we want to achieve by all those interest groups that are working, researchers that are working on these subjects. But we should not be put off or be discouraged by what we are hearing about it. We would do research and let research tell us what to do without any inhibition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
I speak on behalf of the seed industry in Nigeria. Simply put, we want development for the farmers. Farmers in Nigeria are having problems. Productivity is low, poverty is high, and we need to have a solution for farmers to develop their capacity in production. You agree with me, in the rural areas, there's a problem. We have to provide seeds, high quality seeds, to produce enough food for Nigeria. The minister said it. In the next decade, 400 million people, you have no plan. Science is real. Our universities are doing something good, and I think we should support them. This debate can continue, but the bottom line is think about the Nigerian farmers. Think about my position is very clear. What is happening now is beneficial to us, to the seed industry, and it is something good in Nigeria. Thank you.
I'm Mrs. Veronica Nkechi Eze, the Registrar CEO of the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology. The council is a new one established to regulate the practice and profession of the food science and technology professionals in Nigeria, meaning that we regulate the human beings that have work on food scientific matters in Nigeria, including the genetically modified organisms. Our position is slightly a little bit different because we lend our support to the presentations made by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, that of the Biosafety Management Agency and the Biotechnology Research and Development Agency, including the very last one, Nigerian Institute of Food Science and Technology, and all the others that have looked at this GMO from the objective point of view. Our position is that the safety issue of the approved GMOs, especially the ones in Nigeria, need to be followed by every stakeholder who must take advantage of the food experts, especially in the area of testing and assessment of the GMO in the primary food production, processing, and the use of non-genetically modified organic materials, so that to avoid harm to Nigerians. So the food professionals must be involved in the testing and assessment of genetically modified organisms in Nigeria, and that the safety test must take adequate cognizance of short, medium, and long-term plausible effects. So food professionals should be involved in all the regulatory, We have just one. Yeah.
Okay,
just,
do you have anything outside that you want to tell us?
Yeah, just want to conclude.
Okay, you want me to conclude?
Okay, so we want the food professionals involved to be involved in all regulatory and research agencies, just like I mentioned earlier, so that they can evaluate both food and even the non-food genetically modified organisms for safety and be sure that there's no indirect connection to food. Thank you.
I'll use more than 2 minutes, please. Thank you. Yeah, just to start, I don't know, this is coming on and off. Okay, just to start by saying that genetic modification is a natural phenomenon. I think the minister alluded to that in his statement. And it is a natural process. There is natural selection which is a normal thing in life. So genetic modification is not something that is new. I think that's one basic point that I need to make. And all that we are doing in modern biotechnology is trying to do what happens in nature. And I think that should allay any fears. Then secondly, I am a professor of plant breeding and genetics, and I have been the president of the Genetic Society of Nigeria for 6 years. And we must listen to experts. This house must be guided by experts, because misinformation from non-experts can be harmful to us as a nation. I stand here to say boldly that I was hearing someone introducing himself as a professor of genetics that I have never met in any conference, anywhere. As a professor of genetics who has been... Now, in addition to that, sir, lastly...
Related to what was before.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Please, if you should know that you are just talking to us something relating to what was before us here. Not to insult or insult.
Sorry, I'm not insulting anyone, sir. Now, National Biosafety Technical Committee, as well as the National Biosafety Committee, and it is a rigorous process that as scientists, we base every recommendation on its merit. And I can say boldly here that in all the reviews, without any sentiment, we have acted professionally as scientists. And I think the last thing I would really want to say is that this house owes us scientists the duty to see that there is improved funding so that we can step up our research in this area, because this is the future of Nigeria. Thank you. National Bio...
This is from our harvest this year. Can you bring it here? Yes, sir.
With me and around me, buy the seeds, and in fact some farmers refuse to buy the seeds. They replant the old one, and it's all growing. Honorable Chairman, as I sat here, I was almost weeping, because the reality that is upon us in Nigeria is that there is no food. We are harvesting maize. We harvested maize, and maize is at 63,000 naira per bag at harvest. Soya beans is 98,000 naira per bag. We are in a very difficult... Beans is 115,000 per bag. The reality that is upon Nigeria is that there is hunger in the land. We do not have time for misconceptions. Sir, I have advocated for GMO for 8 years. I have gone everywhere and learnt it. I have seen the research to be convinced whether it is good or bad. The truth of this matter is a lot is not being said. PBR cowpea was given to Nigeria royalty free. Farmers are not paying anything. Seed Council is here. It is Nigerian seed companies that are growing all these seeds. There is no foreign company that is, apart from Mahiko, that is doing BT cotton. PBR cowpea and Tella is being developed and grown by Nigerian seed companies. They are the ones who are selling it. It was produced by Nigerian scientists and given to us. I want to say that there is so much confusion and misconception. But I ask.
Thank you, my sister. I believe you have said all you want to say. And you know, you
Medically modified food are engineered. That is basic. Then two, for you to identify it, if it is not labeled, you cannot identify it. Do you know why? Because it's a weapon of destruction. I think during COVID-19, I was the Nigerian professor who declared COVID-19 after 2 days. When World Health Organization declared COVID-19, I was the professor of science who declared COVID-19 as a scam. And I did warn that after COVID, another one will come. And here we are, GMO. GMOs, unless they are labeled, you cannot identify them. Go to your Google and find out samples of GMO. You will see ordinary fruit of tomatoes. Then what you see, they will describe is an injection syringe that carries whatever is the material that they are infusing in it. And let nobody be deceived here. There is no way they can engineer genetic products and put inside. It's not genetic products. They are heavy metals. And those heavy metals are geared towards population control. So we must insist that they must label. If they don't label it, you cannot identify it. Then when you eat and die, like he has confirmed.
All right, thank you. And to also answer your question, we need to call on the FCCPC to enforce the labeling laws, because that's the organization responsible for protecting the consumers. We have strong labeling laws in this country that are not being enforced. And you see, the thing about labeling is this: Nigeria has not matured to the point that labeling can really work. So we are not actually matured. We are not at the point where we should be embracing GMOs in this country. And that is the long and short. You asked the question about the effects. Are we already seeing the effects? The answer is yes. If you read a report from Business Day, 23rd of September, the Cotton Farmers Association said that when they started, when they embraced BT cotton, the seeds were 15,000 naira per kg to plant, to plant. Now it's currently 55,000 naira per kg, and you need 4 kg for a hectare. Do the maths. That's 220,000 naira to plant on 1 hectare of farm. Which smallholder farmer can afford that? And they also complained, the cotton farmers also complained that their grounds are now bare, are now barren. They can no longer plant natural seeds of any kind on that ground. And the same farmers also complained that they are not seeing the yield that they were promised. And there's enough history in India to support, because a lot of farmers committed suicide, cotton farmers committed suicide in India. And that is the trajectory that the cotton farmers in Nigeria were going, and they cried out in that article. You can check it, 23rd of April, 23rd of September in Business Day report.
In addition to what he has said, if you are a farmer, this is research we have seen, you no longer see earthworms. You no longer see termites everywhere. These are the pulverizers. These are the ones that create air pores underneath the soil, so the roots can get enough. These things have been taken out by this ubiquitous application of pesticides and what they call fertilizers, which are really not fertilizers. So these are the effects that are already happening on our ecosystem.
Thank you. So round up now. Okay, last question. All right. Telomeres and the rest of them, BT cotton and the rest of them. Check it. They have a workflow. If you need the funds that they were given, I have the figures to the T of how much they were giving for all of these things. You saw the president of Kabir Ibrahim, the president of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Go and check the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Type All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Type the organization there. They were giving $1.4 million. So you can check. Type OFAB inside Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Type AATF inside Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Download the report. You will see how much they were giving for the promotion of biosafety, for the promotion of biotechnology. You will see all the courses they go to do in all the foreign universities. You will see all the fundings for all those courses. So the same organization sponsors the sponsors the technology and sponsors the regulation, and they jam in the country. Why won't they speak the same language? Is that why we are seeing OFAB and the rest of them cutting the NBMA? We complained about it in the hearing just today. We attended the 7th annual conference of the Biosafety Organization in this country 2 weeks ago, and all the speakers that spoke there are promoters of biotechnology. All. They were even marketing the next ones to come: cassava, potato, and tomatoes. They were marketing it in that conference. So when the biosafety, NBMA, who is supposed to be the regulators, are now the goalkeeper, they are the header, and they are the striker, who are supposed to regulate it, I mean, it's a lost cause, and that's the reason why we're here. So you ask if we are being sponsored. You check it. What product do we have that we are selling?
Aside from that, to answer you directly, we are not being sponsored. I'm a professor, a Nigerian from Benue State, the food basket. And for the singular reason that the basket is becoming empty, it's enough cost if this country invested in training me. In my PhD, I studied up to UK, only to come and fold my hands and watch the soil destroyed with chemicals that have been promoted by genetically modified organisms in the name of agriculture? No, we are not being sponsored. Like my colleague has said, we are from the Center for Food Safety and Agricultural Research. The mandate of our center is to investigate these things, to research those things. And if we see these things, we have a duty, a national duty, and that is actually the mandate of true science, not procured science.
To get it from them. The same way we lost our independence in energy, it's the same way we will lose our independence with food if we continue in this direction. So it's a business. And when you eat this food, you start getting sick. And what happens? You go to Big Pharma for your drugs, for your insulin and the rest of them. And what are you doing? You are putting money in the pocket of the same people who are sponsoring GMO. So it's a circle of profits for the people that are behind it.
And I think I gave the example on a case study on what's happened in Southern Africa. It's about population elimination, it's about making you sick, it's about attenuating your immunity, and then it's about capturing you economically to make you captive to their seeds that are going to attenuate your economy when you have to buy seeds at 60,000 euros a kg up to 400,000 euros a kg. That will disseminate our economies, and I think that is the most important thing that we have to understand. Remember, Europeans still want to control this continent. And if they can eliminate the populations like they eliminated the American Indian, then it's easy for them to take over the continent.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So to clarify the issue, although professors and the scientists who believe in Nigeria, who believes in our people, they've already stressed on sustainability, the health impact. But I want to speak specifically on the sovereignty of our nation. The direction this is headed to would lead us to become dependent on whoever produces this, and that is already a security threat. I believe we have a national security advisor who is tasked with the responsibility of securing the lives of Nigerians. Food security is a #1 priority for any country, and we have to secure our country. There are lots of young people who are very, very concerned about this, and as such, I would call on the national security advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. He stressed a couple of days ago, he said that terrorists are taking the president for granted. Please, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, rogue scientists are taking you for granted. And you have a reputation to uphold to. Rise to the occasion and speak for Nigerians. Thank you.
Okay. I love the House of Reps, like they were standing, for us. So the fight is on, and we are not stopping now. We were talking about the dangers of GMO foods that was brought to us by Bill Gates. You have to hit the nail on the head. There is somebody championing it. If you don't talk about it, there is a mistake somewhere. And I believe that Minister of Agriculture is corrupt. I wanted to talk there, but of course, let me relax myself. I was boiling inside. Because you are defending something that you have not made research about. We don't have a laboratory that can actually check these things to say, this thing is safe for you to eat. Come on, man. These people are collecting money. They pocketed money, and that is why they are boldly standing and telling you that you can consume this. So please, let's make this fight our own and make sure that GMO food is rejected in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
at this juncture,
to give all of you the basic information is not a single science. It's an eclectic science. My encounter with this science started when I was just finishing my postgraduate studies several years ago, maybe 40, 45, 50 years ago. In a course I took in recombinant chemistry. At that time, it had nothing to do with GMOs. Then I encountered colleagues who were in microbiology. It's a different kind of science. It has nothing to do with GMOs. So we thought. Then I started working, and then I had to attend a world conference in South Africa in the year 2000. It had nothing to do with GMOs. But today we are talking about GMOs. So to talk to journalists about GMOs, I will leave it to my colleagues here. But let me tell you that this is a battle that must be fought and won, because the overall long-term effects of consumption of GMO foods and the pattern of consumption, and whether you are going to create feeds from the food, whether you are going to transform the GMOs into LMOs, is a difficult concept to even convey to all of you here. But what I want you to know is that GMOs are time bombs. Time bombs, the cumulative effect of which over time is very, very, very severe, both on individuals, both on animals, both on the environment, both on the soil, and on all kinds of ecosystems that support the human race. Those who are proponents are not looking far enough to understand the great implications of all of this for the African continent and for my country, Nigeria, in particular. So join us in this battle of enlightening our governments to know that what they are having today is a very, very dangerous piece of product formulation that is being pushed by the international community to deal with your possible population that they are worried about. I will yield now to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
When you want to speak, the next speaker should.
Right, thank you so much for the region that started the issue of GMOs on the African continent. Oh, my name is Rutendo Matingarare. I am from Zimbabwe, but I live in South Africa. And I come from an organization that is called Zimbabwe Anti-Sanctions Movement. Now, the relevance of Southern Africa being involved in this particular meeting is that we are the victims of this GMO. And the reason we are victims is that South Africa was the first country on the African continent to accept GMOs. And when they accepted GMOs, they accepted it at an interesting time, 1979, when South Africa declared war on the entire SADC region in Africa, because they did not want these independent African countries to then liberate South Africa and remove apartheid. And as part of their strategy, they created what was called the National Defense Council. The National Defense Council then said we need to find ways to neutralize Africans and African populations, and we need to find how to do it utilizing business, military, and also science and genetics. They created an institution that is called SAGENE, or SAGENE. SAGENE was going to create genetic materials that were going to be used to attenuate African populations and to kill Africans. And that is where the strategy for genetic modification for South Africa came from, and that is also where the use of HIV that was injected in SADC was also created. Now, many of you would know that there's an institution called SIMA that has got commanders of that institution that have begun to admit that they deliberately injected HIV into Africans. But what they do not say is that they also decided to use genetic engineering on food and diseases to also affect Africans. And that's why you see that Southern Africa has the highest rate of HIV in the world, but not only that, they are the biggest users of genetically engineered foods. And Zimbabwe is an importer of this genetically engineered food. It has the highest cancer death rate in the world currently because of these GMOs that contain glyphosate and that are engineered to target certain ethnicities. And so we want you guys here in West Africa to understand that we, coming from the area that still has the highest number of white people on this continent, understand that there's a weaponization of food, a weaponization of disease, and these are coming together to attenuate our immunity, to cause cancers in our bodies, and to allow these opportunistic infections and HIVs to affect us because our immunity has been compromised. And so before I finally finish, the attenuation of our immunity did not start only with these GMOs. It started with the hybrids before the GMOs. They come with less nutritional value. They come with certain elements and minerals that are missing. And now with the genetic engineering, they can actually remove entire nutrients out of the GMOs to attenuate. So we've been to court fighting companies that want to bring these GMOs. And we have gone and met judges that were not friendly because there were no policies in Southern Africa against these GMOs. Your parliament is currently sitting to make policies and framework. Do not waste this opportunity. Do not follow the direction that Southern Africa has gone because you do not want to see the HIV, cancers, and disease rate that we are finding. And then finally, you need to also understand that there's an economic cost to this. When you begin to use GMOs, you in Nigeria understand you eat most of your food from rural farmers. Rural farmers will not be able to grow those foods the moment they have to use seeds that cannot reproduce and patented seeds. And these patented seeds become more expensive over time once they've eliminated the natural seeds. We know this because Lima Grain did it in Europe. Lima Grain eliminated tomato seeds. After eliminating tomato seeds, they started selling tomato seeds, hybrid seeds, at 60,000 euros a kg, all the way up to 400,000 euros a kg. Can we afford here in Nigeria to have maize seeds sold at 60,000 euros a kg? Can we afford for the cost of seeds, a kg of seeds, to sell for the price of gold? We cannot. So we need to stop this food colonialism that is coming with dependency being created by these seeds that cannot reproduce and continue to go back to our traditional seeds. Thank you so much.
All of us saw what played out at this hearing today. My message to the House of Reps is simple. Many people in this country have a strong perception that the National Assembly does not represent the interest of Nigerians. When they conclude this hearing, and when they are writing their reports, or when they are presenting it, I want them to use this as one opportunity to demonstrate that for once, they can stand up for the Nigerian people. What we witnessed today was partly an embarrassment, to say the least. That you saw supposed agencies of government, particularly the National Biosafety Management Agency. I don't know what the biosafety they are managing, by the way. Basically acting as the public relations experts of foreign interests that are trying to plant or pursue this GMO in our country. That all of us witness regulators acting as business consultants, right? Being more carried away by their decision to approve GMOs in our country than to prevent the impact of GMOs on Nigerians. This government must take it as a personal responsibility to immediately declare a policy of no to GMO. We would like to see, in the interim, while the argument is even going on, a national moratorium declared, that even if they are not convinced that the adverse effects, which majority of the experts have spoken eloquently to, are obvious, even if they still want to go ahead with the investigation, pending when they reach a conclusion, GMO distribution and circulation in Nigeria should be halted. And finally, I also must state clearly that we cannot be a conquered people in our country. Because there is not a perception that you can do to Nigerians whatever you want to do and nothing will happen. And that explains some of the institutional arrogance that we witnessed today. To the point that someone was so audacious to say it is better to eat and die than not to eat and die. For me, that should have been the end of the hearing. So, and the media must ask the committee why they did not insist that NAFDAC should be present today. And my position is that NAFDAC absence is not a coincidence. What NAFDAC did was technically to avoid having to go publicly in collusion with sister agencies. Because NAFDAC is supposed to be the national agency that guarantees the safety of what we all consume. But because NAFDAC has taken a position, okay, on the matter, we would like that position to be properly articulated, which is that GMOs is unsafe and Nigerians will not be used to put as a trial or as tools of experimentation. That is our position. That is my personal opinion on the matter. Thank you.
Fellow Africans, of course. My name is Professor Christopher Gamwa. I was raised, studied, and I'm working in Benue State, the food basket of Nigeria. I want to paint a scenario that we are facing. The historical precedence of the challenge of hunger on our continent, in Africa generally, and in Nigeria, has not been an issue of production. It has been an issue of distribution. Today, I come from Benue State, a food basket that is becoming empty, not because Benue people are not producing food, not because they don't have GMOs. It's because external and foreign interests have successfully, and I'm saying this boldly to the media and to Nigerians, because I'm a researcher, external interests that are interested in marketing, dumping GMOs, which are agents of mass destruction. These are biological weapons. I'm a professor of bioinorganic chemistry. They are pushing insecurity on our nation, sponsoring it clandestinely. And I challenge the national security apparatus to look deeply into, investigate into why our farmers can't go to farms, only to create a scenario of hunger to advertise genetically modified poisons. How many of you have read about COVID? COVID, which was SARS-CoV-2, emanated from a research that is generally known as gain of function research. Basically, that is what genetically modified organisms are in agriculture. They are gain of function research outcomes. That means these transgenes, they are transgenic, can be manipulated to do exactly what they have been manipulated to do. Number one, whereas our grandparents were having children, our mothers were having children 11, 12, 13, today young Nigerian girls marry and they are jumping from one fertility clinic to another, struggling to get pregnant. Today we have the incidence of juvenile diabetes on the rise. Today we have the incidence of young children, teenagers coming down with high blood pressure, cardiovascular issues. Today, autism is on the rise, and all this has been proven connected to GMOs and the chemicals that come with GMOs. Thank you. It is important that this country unanimously rise to say no to GMOs and encourage our legislators to place a complete ban on GMOs. Thank you.
Please,